There's exploratory research, diagnostic research, and evaluative research. And exploratory research is what you do when you really don't know what you're trying to find out yet. You're just trying to uncover the undiscovered. Diagnostic is when you've got a hypothesis and you want to go and test it and you want to fix it and adapt it based on the learning. And then evaluative is you want to see how something worked. By bringing all the research in-house, big companies like Procter & Gamble and General Motors and so on have almost by default focused all of their attention on diagnostic and evaluative research because they're continually refining how they go to market in the categories that they're in. And we've used the example for think of the guy who sells the SUV. If General Motors is selling SUVs, they're not out there necessarily trying to find new purchasers of the SUV category. They're trying to figure out how the next SUV model can slice the pie a little thinner. So we're selling SUVs. Next year we're going to come out with SUVs that are really for off-roaders versus SUVs that are for soccer moms. And they keep subdividing the category into ever smaller segments. Exploratory research is how you figure out who else might be interested in SUV that is an untapped market. And so several years ago, we collectively came to this realization that because agencies had largely abandoned the responsibility for uncovering these insights about consumers, it was a bit of an opportunity for an agency that was willing to put up its own money to actually go out and do that kind of research. And because we had a partnership with a market research company like Gandalf, when we brainstormed the idea, we thought, hey, we can do this collaboratively and come up with something very cool and differentiated in the category. So we've surveyed issues from the environment, technology, health and nutrition.
Immigration.
We've got a whole thing on new Canadians. The urban-rural divide, what we call the density divide, is a really fascinating one because we live in Toronto. We think Canadians are all like us, and the reality is there's really three distinct groups: those who live in million-plus centers, those who live in sort of mid-sized communities, and those who live in smaller rural environments. And they have very different values and behaviors and attitudes. What else have we studied? We do the economy, a full in-depth study of the economy every April. We're in market right now with our latest take on it. The economic one is probably the foundation of most of the talks that we would do because we also update it every time we go to market. So we're always up to date on the latest quarter in terms of consumer sentiment and what it's likely to predict in terms of consumer spending. But the deep dive we do on the economy has uncovered some really great insights.